Welcome to the Program Pod, a national award-winning program on the RCBC Podcast Network, which takes a deep dive into the programs offered at RCBC through different perspectives of students, faculty, and employers.
And back on location again, but this time in a different location. It's Jay Varga here again with the Program Pod, the two-time national award-winning, and it's the holiday season, which means it's time for another edition of our Winter Commencement podcast special, the third installment, in fact, here on the RCBC Podcast Network. And today we get to speak with the Winter 2025 Commencement student speakers, and that's Yvonne Tai, Omalayo Akinwole, and Sherria Hannah, who all have some interesting stories to share, which led them to being selected and representing their peers in just a few days. And here you are. How's everyone doing today?
Doing well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are getting ready for your commencement next week and your speeches.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do the final rehearsal after this podcast here, and just want to take some time to get to know you a little bit more and get you out, because sometimes the speech has to be so serious, but also so inspiring at the same time. And it seems like this year actually it was kind of thrown together a lot faster than it has been in past years, and you guys got your speeches done pretty incredibly short time. How you feeling about it?
Feeling
more
very good.
confident.
Yeah.
Each rehearsal, I'm feeling more confident.
How does it feel as we're broadcasting live here in the Votta Hall where the commencement's going to be taking place, but we're on the stage and you got the bright lights, and the other day you got to hear yourself on the actual podium with the sound and your voice going around the auditorium. How did that sound?
Very interesting. I think my voice kind of sound really different.
Yeah.
Compared to how it sounds like in my head. Actually, it sounds really different right now.
Yeah. Well, that's because I put a little broadcast to it, for the podcasting. So I take my radio and compressing it and doing everything else. But that's why we try to get everybody to get it comfortable with, because, when I was telling you to prepare for your speeches, don't read it inside your head. You got to read it out loud to hear how it's going to sound. And then it's a different sound when you hear it on the microphone and the podium because it's echoing a little bit. So you feel a little more comfortable and you're feeling ready for it?
Yeah.
I am feeling ready. I mean, I naturally just don't like the way I sound.
Nobody does.
So the first time hearing myself, I was like, wow.
Right.
I wish we had more people to fill it up so I can, get an actual feel, but
yeah, well, and the human bodies will absorb a lot of the sound, right? Like we're in an empty auditorium right now, so we have a lot of echo and reverb and stuff too. So you're going to have all the bodies, your family members and friends going to be in there too, and all your peers. So it's going to be great. But it's getting used to your voice is one thing. That's why we do some multiple stuff. But it's almost like the same time when you hear your voice on a voicemail and you're like, I really sound like that. Right? You're like, oh, I hate my voice, But again, congrats on, for being this year's student speakers. We're doing 3 different sessions. This year we're doing a little different. We're not doing it by division. We're doing it by, alphabetically, right? Yeah. So I forget which one of you is going first.
Me.
Okay. So, Omalayo, then we'll start with you, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
First of all, why did you want to, go and be a student speaker? Or why did you want to apply for this award?
I was actually motivated by the past speakers. And it's always been my dream to be outstanding. I like to be like the show.
Yep.
And I just like to do the extraordinary when I have the opportunity to. So me standing out as the speaker is going to mean a lot to me and my family, and I know they are really proud of me. I just like to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Who was do you remember the speaker's name?
Taiwo.
Oh, Taiwo.
I'm Pragia too. Both of them were my friends.
Okay. Yeah. Taiwo was awesome. So, you have such energy as well, but Taiwo, she was out there and she was crushing it. She was one of my favorite interviewers when we were doing, doing backstage and everything else. So obviously you can hear a little bit in your accent. So I don't think you're originally from New Jersey, right?
No, I'm from Nigeria.
Yes. So can you tell us your story from, how you got to Nigeria all the way here to Mount Laurel?
So after my undergraduate in biochemistry, so I finished from Landmark University in Nigeria, and I came here for my master's actually in public health, because that was why my dad actually told me to come to the US to study, to do my master's. So when I came here, I resumed, and I was like, this is not my passion. I wanted to be a nurse. So that was when my passion changed. And I checked for affordable universities or colleges online that I could take my nursing classes.
Sure.
And I got RCSJ, the older Roran. So I was thinking it was the same school. I applied And I got to the campus and I realized that the school was not just where I belonged. I always passed through RCBC with the bus, and I was like, this school looks so beautiful. I would like to be here one day.
Yeah.
I applied to RCBC and I was admitted. On my first day on campus, I was offered like purses and ice cream. I was like, is this free?
Oh, wow.
I was like,
What's the catch here?
I was like,
Yeah.
is this free? And they were like, yeah, it's free. I was like, oh my God, this school is so nice. So I was able to have purses for the first time
Yep.
at RCBC. Then I took away ice cream and in class, I saw a Nigerian boy ask a question. After class, I went to approach him and I was like, you're from Nigeria, right? I said, yes, I'm from Nigeria. Then we had a conversation and he told me I could get a job on campus. So I applied and I became a student ambassador on campus.
Yep.
And I also got a job before then that I had to like help the neurodivergent students like adjust to the environment. So I was able to do the job for a while. Because of my studies and the other job, I could not retain so much jobs. I had to like drop one
Yep.
and focus on my studies with the other job. So I'm still like retaining my student ambassador job alongside with my nursing program. Doing my nursing program, I was also doing like the health sciences. So I was taking 2 majors at the same time just to like meet up the credits.
Okay.
I was doing the nursing, the health sciences. I graduated from the health sciences. I picked up psychology again. So I was doing psychology alongside with my nursing, and which was not really, really easy.
Yeah.
It was it was like a very, it was one of the hardest decisions I made. But here I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what actually made you gravitate towards nursing since it wasn't your original, passion?
Okay, when I came to the US, before I came to the US, my dad always wanted me to be a nurse. But I was like, nurse? Why? But when I came to the US, I saw the real impact nurses have on people. And when I see them on their scrub, they look so attractive. And I was like, I would actually like to be on the scrub one day. I also have passion. Because since I've been a nurse, I have no regret. I realized that was actually the passion I have for myself because everything has been going well for me.
Yep.
Because nursing is a field that you can't just go into if you don't have a passion for. You're going to get tired.
Yes.
But because of the passion and the drive I have for nursing, that's what kept me going until this level that I am right now.
Yes, it means a lot to me because my mom's a nurse, my wife's a nurse, right? So, and I know what they went through, especially during COVID, and just the sleepless nights and everything else. And you got to have the passion, but you also have to have good bedside manner, which sometimes I tell my wife you got to work on that a little bit, right? Maybe it's just towards me. I don't really know, but no, I totally see it in your energy and everything else. And obviously, it's a great story and why you're here and why you get to share that passion to your peers and all the health sciences, which are usually the craziest bunch of folks there during the during commencement and everything else. So again, congrats, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm able to find RCBC and how we made you home. And I guess the selling point is we don't really have to promote anything. We just got to give away free ice cream on campus. Just do it, free pretzels and ice cream. That's it. We'll sign up and everything else. So we move down to the board. Who's speaking second for the second ceremony?
I am.
All right, Sherria.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have a different style story, and why don't you share that? And actually, no, first, why did you apply, first of all, to be, a president or student speaker?
I don't know. Because when I got the invitation initially, I wasn't going to apply.
Why?
I am very reserved and private and personal, and I did not know all that it would entail. And so I was telling my brother about it, and he said, "You're going to do it, right?" And I said, "Nah, I don't know." And he says, "Well, this is what you prayed for. This could be your opportunity." And so I said, "Well, I'll apply, but if I get chosen, I can't say 100% that I would accept it." And so I waited till the day of the deadline,
Of course.
to apply. And I didn't realize they needed a recommendation letter from someone, faculty, staff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have anybody because I was distance learning. So I did not have the direct contact with the professors. But I was in contact with my counselor, Reagan, regularly.
Copeland?
Yes.
Awesome. I love her.
She is. I know
Yes.
she's amazing.
Yep.
And so I sent her an email and requested the letter. And I had just saw her the day before. So again, I was not sure what I was going to do because I could have simply asked in advance before I had to submit the application.
Which is due the next day.
Right. And so I submitted the application without the letter.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment that I knew I was going to commit to putting forth my best effort to complete the application and go through the process.
Yeah.
And so I did. And I'm not sure the young lady's name that I sent the email to, but she responded back the next day and said, hey, we didn't get your letter. And I said, I know. I know, but Reagan's going to send it to you. And she did the next day. And when I got the invitation for the interview, I said, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And I went in, got the interview, and I walked away. I said, no, I'm not going to get it. I'm just glad for the opportunity to interview because I'm getting back out there and into the world and interacting with people. And I said, I'm going to go practice like it's a job interview, get myself some experience. And I went, and it was very intimidating. I will say that process is intimidating.
I've heard, yeah.
It is, very. But when I finally got the call, I just broke down in tears.
Yeah.
And that I didn't realize the impact that this whole process, even just the interview process, would have on me. But I'm glad I applied. I'm glad I got chosen, and here I am being open.
I'm wearing long sleeves, but I actually have goosebumps right now because it's like it's a great story because I know what you had to go through to even get to this point just to apply. Can you share a little bit of that?
Sure. So, okay. Jay. So in 19, wow. Well, actually,
that's funny.
no,
I know our daughter's gonna be like, "You're from the 1900s."
In 1997, when I graduated high school, I knew at the time that I wanted to go to Burlington County College when it was out in Pemberton.
Yep.
And I applied. I went through the application process, and then life happened. My car broke down, and I was working, and I never pursued my education. Well, as I got older, I started working, and I was in the administrative field in behavioral health. And they always promoted, advancement and progress. So they sent me to a course on administrative certifications like Outlook and Microsoft and all that kind of stuff back in 2007. That's where Sherria Dennis comes from because I applied at that time when I was single and Sherria Dennis.
And for those listening right now, she's talking about that because when I had to confirm names, originally the email had Dennis, and then I was like, no, Hannah. Go ahead.
And so I had an account back from 2007, and in fast forward 2020. I lost my mom. Actually, today's her birthday. That's why I said, Jay,
Happy birthday, Mother.
gotta
Yeah.
keep it together for you guys. But today's her birthday.
I feel like it's a purpose for it.
Yeah,
I had to have this podcast.
right. And so in October 2020, she passed. And at the time, I was an office manager at Larchmont Imaging Radiology Center, and I was out. For the leave, they give you 7 days for the passing of your mom. And I was due to return to work that following Monday, a week after my mom passed. And I had a stroke. I did not return to work as scheduled that day. I was always prompt on time. And I guess my employer called my husband to say, hey, your wife didn't make it to work. And so my husband at the time was a school bus driver, and he came home and he found me in the bed, just confused and dazed. He didn't know what was going on, so he took me to the emergency room, and turns out I had a stroke. I went through rehabilitation for about 3 months. I'm telling you, this is the irony of this day. On December 10th,
That is weird.
of 2020 is the day I was discharged from rehab. And it wasn't until 2 days before that that I found out I had a stroke. I didn't even know I had a stroke because I, thank God, didn't have any residual effects from it. And I went home. Life was going on. Life was happening. And then in February, I began to get some pain in my feet and like just some weakness. I was having trouble eating, and I lost about 100 pounds unintentionally. I was about this size at the time. Well, I've got an extra 15 on me now, but I lost 100 pounds.
We all do it during the holidays.
And I fell down the steps, trying to walk down the steps. And that's when my husband said, we got to go to the hospital. Like, something's wrong. And so I spent about a month in the hospital of them trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I just was in a lot of pain. I couldn't bear weight on my feet. And then that's when they diagnosed me with GBS, Guillain-Barré syndrome. And I guess during the time, that was still COVID time. And it turned out that GBS was a side effect from the COVID vaccine.
Oh.
So everyone thought that I had a response to the COVID vaccine. Well, I had never had the vaccine at that time because I had went through
Everything else.
everything
Right.
else.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so when they finally diagnosed me, that was in March of 2021. I spent 8 weeks in rehab. Had to learn how to stand. I wasn't even walking at that point. I just had to relearn how to stand on my own 2 feet and bear weight.
And, you kind of touch base on it. This is what I was working with you during your speech, because you say you can Google it and everything else, but just in a sentence or two, could you describe, or what exactly is GBS?
So GBS is a neurological condition where your body basically attacks itself. It attacks your immune system. And so that's what happened. That's why I was having trouble eating, and I couldn't keep food down, and my body was attacking itself.
All right. And then you were trying to, you said, learn how to walk again. And
That actually didn't start until I was discharged from rehab, because they were just managing my pain.
right.
And I kept falling because my mind didn't register that I couldn't walk. I kept trying to get out of bed and falling all over the place. They're calling my husband every day, like, your wife fell again today, because it just wasn't registering that I couldn't walk. And I finally said, hey, you guys, you're not helping me walk. You guys are treating my pain. I keep falling. I said, I want to go home. I want to go home. I called my dad, and I said, Dad, come get me. I asked to speak to the charge, the doctor in charge, and basically said, you guys aren't helping me. I need to go home. I can get in-home rehab, and that's what happened. So I went home in May 2021, and I still wasn't walking at the time. I had the full hospital layout in my living room. I was wheelchair bound, and I began having in-home physical therapy with a wonderful lady who, I'm telling you, God's amazing, who happened to be the first lady at a church whose pastor showed up the night that my mom was murdered. When I say she died, she didn't just die, she was murdered. And he showed up at the police station to, be a present comfort for the family. Well, it was his wife who was my physical therapist at home. And around the 7-month mark is when they said, hey, you need to now go outside of the house for your physical therapy. We can't have you stay in home. And so still wheelchair bound, and my husband's working, and he's running me back and forth to physical therapy. And I slowly regained my ability to walk. And I have it on video, and I watch it from time to time, because I don't believe that's what I went through. But
It's a good reminder and motivation.
it is. It is. And again, I just, I can't believe it. And so I am thankful for this opportunity. I didn't know it entailed all of, the workings and production and everything. But yeah, it's a testimony. And I asked God for a platform to be able to tell it. And I didn't think it would show up like this, but
Yeah, so you want to do you went through all of that, and then you're like, I want to go back to school and get to.
I had been.
I haven't had much of a challenge. I want to continue.
I had been right because I had been out of work.
Yeah, I know.
I tried to return to work in February before I fell down the steps, and I walked in. I was on a cane at that time, and I said, "Hey, I just can't physically. I can't do this," and so they had to fire me. They had to fire me because I had been out of work already for 3 months.
The company policy or whatever they wanted.
Right.
Say.
Like, oh, when you're ready and you're well, you can come back, and all of that. And as I began to walk, I'm like, I was unemployed, I'm disabled, and I said, how am I going to return to work? 3 years at that time, I had already been out of work when I realized, like, I got to figure out a plan or something. And I said, let's go back to now RCBC.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what they can do. You can either go get a certification, or like you just have to gain something from this time that you have been out of the workforce, so that when you do go back, you are employable. Because I still have a disability, and I'm honest about it. When they ask, do you have a disability? I said, yeah, I do. And I started full time. I just jumped right in. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, but I submitted the application. I did the FAFSA. I got grant funding, and I didn't know what I was going for. I knew I always had a business mindset. Like I said, most of my background had been administratively in healthcare. And so I knew I wanted to do something with business administratively. And
so that's your official major, business administration?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Did you get free ice cream in that class?
No, but I did show up for the campus kickoff, and I got a pretzel.
A pretzel, there it is.
I did get a pretzel. I met Barry, I think his name is.
Yeah,
I took a
who's
picture.
got transformation.
Like I dived right into the student experience, and
now you are getting ready to speak in front of your peers for the graduation class and graduating. And,
unbelievable.
Yeah, see, which is great. I like the fact that you dove in not really knowing, hoping, you can try to find someone to guide you along, but also you're like, I'll deal with that part later. Because a lot of times people get up in their head and they're like, how am I going to pay for it? Am I too old to go back to school? Or am I going to do this to go back to school and stuff too? It's like, I don't care about that. I'll deal with that stuff later. And now you're a living example, especially everything you went through before that with your mother and your health and everything else. And now showing you a great example. And here we are on this special day, December 10th. To be able to,
happy birthday, Mom.
Yeah. But so congrats, and I'm glad that you're here and getting to share that story, because as I talk to student speakers like yourselves, and when I like to know when why you want to go and speak in front of all your peers, right, and a story to share, and sometimes it's because if you can connect with just one person in the audience, right, and inspire them to now go, because maybe they're going through their battles, whatever it is. We all have our issues to deal with, right? And just to connect with that one person and being like, you know what? Sherria was a great example for, I don't have an excuse why I shouldn't be able to go back to school if I'm thinking about it, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm always incredibly proud for you to get up here and showcase, because it goes beyond education itself too. It's just us as humans in society, and be able to connect and grow and inspire others to hope I can go out there and do great things. So last but not least is we have a third ceremony and a third student speaker, Yvonne.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah. It sounded like from your other speech that you're pretty much ready to rock and roll, right?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much ready. The really lucky coincidence is that I'm kind of preparing like my personal statements, all that for transfers.
Okay.
So I could just kind of copy and paste the parts of it into my speech. So that's why I was able to get it done on time, and I'm ready to speak.
Well, it's going to be here before we know it, and so we're going to have a final rehearsal. But let's hear a little about your story. And again, first, I asked the other two, why did you choose to go and speak in front of your class, or is it just because you needed something else to write in your 20 other degrees? And you're like, why not?
Actually, it was kind of like a funny coincidence. I didn't even know I was graduating because I thought I was going to graduate in spring with my other degrees. But I managed to complete one of the degrees like earlier than expected. So
One
of four.
4 degrees.
So I was kind of shortlisted for winter commencement, but I was like fighting back and forth with like the registration department. I was like, no, I'm not graduating. I'm graduating in spring. So I like every time I received reminders to apply to be the student speaker, I kind of just kept pushing back. And it wasn't until my advisor reached out to me and she was like, you're graduating this degree in winter, please. Like, we've been talking to you.
You're taking so many classes, you don't even know when you're graduating
Yeah,
anymore.
they were like, why do you not believe us? I was like, oh, sorry. I thought it was like all together. And then one of my professors, Professor Simber, who's my computer science professor, I've taken him for 2 semesters now. He privately reached out to me and he was like, do you want to be the student speaker? And again, I was like, I'm not graduating. But then he was like, no, you are graduating. And I think you should be the commencement speaker. And by then, I think like the deadline has already kind of passed. So he helped me talk to like, I think the committee and like the acting president. And then I was able to apply from then on. Yeah. So it was it happened kind of quickly.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did it because you have an exceptional story to share too, and kind of somewhat on the non-traditional side because you've been out of school for a little while and you were out there traveling the world and stuff. And let's hear a little bit about your story because you're not originally from here. So where are you from? How did you get here to Mount Laurel and to RCBC itself?
Right. So I was born in Malaysia, and when I was 14, we moved to Singapore, and then we finally got our Singaporean citizenship about 10 years ago now. And so, but when we moved to Singapore, we were like really, really poor. So we didn't have the money. We didn't even have a house to live in. So we had to like rent, living spaces, like a bedroom with other migrant workers. And we were trying to make ends meet. So I started working really young. I started working when I was 18. Wow. But I was always thinking about going back to school. I felt like I had the potential and I felt like it's something that I can do. I just was never given the opportunity to. So my first job, I worked as a salesperson for a bank. And every month from the day I turned 18, which was when I started working, I saved $500 from when I was 18 to like when I was 23. And then I eventually found my way to work for DHL Express, which is a international, multinational like logistics career company. And once I got that job, I increased my savings from $500 a month to $1,000 a month. And towards the end of my career, which was 12 years long, towards the end of it, I was saving about $3,000 to $5,000 a month because I was pushing really hard to have enough money to go into university. So to me, it was never like a question. So I'd rather like not eat and like find ways to like scramble up some food from other people so I save money. But I never compromised on my savings. Wow. So I saved up enough money. And when I started applying to school, I had taken 12 years away since my high school, so none of the universities accepted my application. And funny enough, I actually thought one of them or some of them would, because the CEO of my company, regional director of my company, senior vice president of my company, and I think the VP of commercial of my company, 4 of them, like really big shots in the logistics industry, wrote recommendations letter for me to send to those universities, and they just burned it. They're like, we don't want you.
So does Singapore have like a age out limit or something? Like if you don't go to school for a certain amount of time, like you're just not allowed to attend?
No, they wanted me to do like an MBA. Okay. So they said like, you're working and we don't think you're suitable for like a bachelor's degree path. We think you should do like a part-time MBA. And or we think you should go do like a prep course, like a 2-year prep course to then go into a bachelor's program. But I didn't want to do that. So sure. I looked for other alternatives. That was when I found out about like community colleges in the US. And then I looked at areas where I had direct flights. And then I came across RCBC and a few other community colleges. And I heard about the RCBC 3+1 program, which would save me a lot of money. And I applied. And RCBC was the only one where the international department and my advisor was really, really helpful. So they responded very promptly. They helped me, even like the smallest questions. So I was like, I think this is going to be the school because I feel like a connection and I feel like these people actually do care about me, even though I haven't even applied yet. So that's how I was just like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to bite the bullet and I will just do it. Yeah. And so I applied.
Yeah. Well, first time I feel like I need to clip this whole part of your question and answer so I can give it to my boss for the marketing promotion of saying, like, how you research, and we all came up with 3+1 and saving money, and you're Googling all the way from like Singapore. But yes, I know our international department is fantastic, and I love working with them, and because I can see all the friendly faces on campus and stuff too. But to get here, though, in part of your speech, you talked about how it took, you said direct flight.
Yeah.
But how long was that direct flight?
It was 18 and a half hours. It's actually, fun fact, the world's longest flight.
Your particular
direct flight? Yeah.
Wow. So you're going to Guinness Book of World Records now, too? 18 and a half hours, though. Like, first of all, it's like you realize, like, you didn't think the world was like that big, right? Almost.
Yeah. Singapore is such a small country. It's like a small city. Yeah. I think it's smaller than Philly. Okay. So going from one end to the other end by car takes like an hour. So 18 and a half hours, I was like straight dying. Flight.
Yeah. You watch a movie and you're like, now what?
I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy on repeat.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably watched the entire prequel, sequel, everything.
Yeah, the extended edition.
Yeah. And then you land in New York and you're like, now this is a city, right?
Yeah. And before I started school, I actually went up to Empire State Building to look at the New York City skyline. Sure. And I felt like, holy, like I've never seen a city this big. And I was a city girl all my life,
sure.
Just a small city.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like until you get to actual New York, because we are, about a half hour, 20 minutes away from Philly, depending on your traffic and stuff. But it's when you go to Philly, or I go to New York City, you're like, whoa, like it's just a whole nother type of city itself.
That's a whole nother
world.
Yeah. And no matter, I've gone there so many times because I do a lot of concerts and everything. And Philly's easy because it's all in grids. New York, it's like there's just different ways. Like I get lost so much, there. And no matter times I try to go there, just because of just the massive size that it is, but then just all these crazy buildings and everything else that they're so tall. But so you end up here in Mount Laurel, and now you're getting ready to speak, and it's incredible. And and your major specifically is?
Yeah. So I'm graduating my computer science degree this winter, and then my physics, math, and computer information systems in spring.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't do enough in school. Talking
I was like, honestly, it wasn't planned.
Yeah.
So I started off my first semester. My thought process was I was just going to front load my courses. So then my last semester will be really chill.
Yeah.
So I took 18 credits, and then I took like some classes in the summer. And then while I was taking all my classes, I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I was away from school for so long. Mm-hmm. So I just took a bunch of STEM courses. I took a bunch of physics, and I took a bunch of math, and I took a bunch of like computer science courses. And then I just kept overloading. And then by like last semester, which was my third semester, I was like, my advisor and I were talking, and I think I have enough credits to be graduating with 4. So then I just put it on paper. So that was how it happened. But
super impressive.
I'm gonna do computer science moving forward, though.
That's your thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where the technology is and everything else. So it's a great field to be in. And I know you're going to crush it when you go do it. And I don't want to cut this short because I'm looking at the time and I can talk to you guys forever, and we can get ready for final speeches and stuff. But I do want to ask, and it's open to the floor. Anybody can speak or whoever itself, though. Favorite moment of RCBC before you get ready to bounce? Well, you're going to be here for another 20 degrees, so not even just yet. But favorite moment here of RCBC, or favorite RCBC experience outside of ice cream and pretzels? Okay.
I would say coming on campus to take a course, because I have been distance learning the entire time, and I failed college algebra. And so I was very disappointed in myself. I said, let's give this another try. So I took the accelerated course, 10-week accelerated course at night in person, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think I could enjoy math. And I was one of 4 students in the class, and the professor was amazing. Professor Olga Berry. She had a very heavy accent. I had a very difficult time understanding her and retaking the course that I had already failed, but I got a B.
Okay.
I got a B.
Wow.
Yeah, and she restored my love for math.
That's good to hear.
I think my favorite moment was last semester when I had a professor I was really close to, Professor Crystal Bourne. She was actually the one that nominated me for the Princeton TSI thing.
Okay.
And she was retiring last semester. So our class was the last class she was teaching. And the last day of her work was our finals. So all of us went in for our finals, but we had actually planned like a secret party for her. So she came in with all the test papers, and then we had like party poppers and like pizza and cake and like lots of drinks and snacks. And she was like, "What are you guys doing? This is finals. This is your Calc 2 finals. Do not be playing
So
around."
happy to take finals.
You were like, "But it's your last day. We have to party." She's like, "Okay, but do your finals first."
Yeah, right.
So we all like sat down and did our finals and then submitted our test papers. And then she was like holding onto the test papers so no one can see the answers while we were celebrating. And then we stayed behind after the test to like celebrate. And she talked about her experiences, why she wanted to be a teacher. And it was very inspiring, and I love her, and I'm still in touch with her.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, and that was my favorite moment.
It's a great story. Love it.
I would just say my favorite moment is every day.
Oh,
Because every day I come to school, I'm so excited. I have a good friend, good friends I see like a family, and also my job. Whenever I resume my job, I resume with excitement because it gives me comfort. Me helping students is what I find pleasure in. So every day I come to school, I'm excited, and every day is my favorite day on campus.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And I know you're going to be a great nurse because of just that peer mentor stuff as well, and working some of that psych in there too. Okay, and then last but not least, the thing you're going to miss most about here, or maybe it's going to be you're not going to be on campus, I guess, anymore and seeing the students. But
I would say what I'm going to miss most are my friends.
yeah.
Because I'm going to be leaving New Jersey. I'm relocating to another state. So I'm going to miss my friends here and also my family. I have like a family, like a friend here, that I'm going to miss them so much when I leave. And I'll say my professors too, because they were really helpful. They helped me a lot when I was struggling in class. They were always there to answer my questions, to reply my emails. I'm going to miss them. And to call it all, I'm going to miss RCBC as a community, because the school gave me a lot of comfort. RCBC was always there for me when I needed help, when I needed anything. I was always reaching out to the school for 1 or 2 things, which always get done. So I'm going to miss RCBC, I'll miss my friends, and I'll miss my family right here at New Jersey when I finally move.
I'm going to miss you too.
Yeah, thank you.
Sherria.
I'm going to miss solely being a distance learning student. So I am in the 3+1 program as well. So this is my first associates. And next semester I have to take in-person classes for public speaking.
Oh, look! You're doing this for the speech right now. Right? That's what you're doing originally. You wasn't about going to speak in front of people. You want to prepare for your public speaking class.
You can probably teach the class.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're going to be all good. And look, if Olga can do it for math, then whoever you get for public speaking, right?
Yeah.
All right, Yvonne.
Right. I think I'll miss the professors the most. I think especially the math and computer science professors. So I've heard from like my friends who are in other colleges and other universities. And sometimes like the professor can make or break like your learning experience.
Yep.
And I think our professors here are like world class. I don't know why they're teaching here, but I'm so lucky for the money I pay to get this kind of education. It is amazing. I'm gonna miss them a lot. The kind of how caring they are, and also all my achievements in RCBC has been because my professors talk to me and they're like, hey, there are opportunities around you, like please apply. They're always looking out for me, and they teach in such a easy to understand way. And also I'll miss a tutoring center just because I'm always camping there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing over there.
Well, that's what it's always great to hear, is, the faculty getting back to you, letting you know, because there's so many things to unlock here at RCBC, right? In such a short time, because we're a community college and we're preparing you to get into the next chapter, whether it's, even if it's, you get the 1 extra year or 3+1, but sometimes you're transferring out or doing whatever. We offer so much, and I'm glad you're able to, take up those offers and do what you're doing, getting here to be the speakers. But I think I'm going to have to, obviously recording this whole episode, but we don't have to just make this whole thing of just one giant advertisement for RCBC and everything that we can offer you, because you guys provided some excellent testimonials. Is there anything else that you'd like to say? I mean, we know we're going to be hearing your speeches in just a couple of days, and you have some inspirational stuff to share with that, which I want to save for that day, right? Because I always like to say, what would you like to say to your fellow classmates? But it will be broadcasted live on our YouTube channel. Thanks to our amazing AV team who's here shooting it right now with Sam and Dan. But what would you like some parting messages before you go do your final speech rehearsal?
I just want to encourage any student with a disability to utilize the resources here at RCBC. Student Success Center, the counselors, the accommodations that's available. Utilize it. Very, very helpful for getting me to where I am today.
And I think I'd say be resourceful. I think that's something that I really learned in my career and me as a person, how I started from literally negative money and being able to do what I want to do, whatever I want to do now in the future. It's really because take advantage of all the resources around you, and don't forget that you're your own greatest asset, and invest in yourself always, because you are the only thing that is gonna set the path for the future.
Yeah,
so
don't get in your head too much. Right?
I would like to advise that there's no word like impossible. Once you've set your mind to it, you should get it done, because determination is the beginning of success. So when you determine that this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be. Like in nursing now, our pass grade is 80%, but when I'm studying, I don't aim 80. I aim higher, because I know that eventually if I aim low, I'm not going to be able to attain the success I want. So always there's nothing impossible. You could achieve it. If I can do it, then any other person could. Yeah. So that's just my advice.
Well, it's advice taken, and hopefully everybody else takes it as well. So next step, final rehearsal speech, and then commencement here at the Votta Hall Auditorium for Winter 2025 commencement. Again, congratulations to all three of you.
Thank you.
Hope you had fun coming on the show here.
Yeah, just fun.
Yeah, it's painless.
Yeah,
break it
up a little bit from everything else and your finals and all that other stuff too. So I told you I would just try to make a nice casual conversation and share your stories and get a little bit of a deeper insight into your worlds outside of the speech that's going to get ready to go on. But as for anybody else listening, thanks for listening to the show. We're going to have a follow-up to this podcast special as we go to speak with some of the students at the Student Success Center. After they graduate, they'll walk on down the hall at Votta Hall Auditorium into the house or to the science building, and then right into the Student Success Center for selfies, food, and everything else. We always encourage everybody to go over there and check it out. Plus, we replay the loop. Everyone likes to watch themselves walk across the stage and getting their diploma. So, but if they happen to miss that, again, we'll be broadcasting it live on our YouTube channel or on our main website at rcbc.edu, where you can get also all the information and resources that you need here for Rowan College at Burlington County. This is Jay Varga for the Program Pod, and reminding you to subscribe to the podcast wherever it is that you get your pod, or check it out on YouTube, as we're now doing video, as I have said, thanks to Dan and Sam. So, cheers. Happy holidays, everybody, and I'll see all three of you, probably in a couple minutes, but as well for the commencement itself. So, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.